Tweeted, unpopular opinion, vault shockwaves. Everyone you fight always has 6-7 shockwaves, which is not fun to fight. Also makes other mobility items redundant since shockwaves are too good. Like there's.
I think it's safe to say that there has never been an issue as big as the shockwave fights. Oh wait, I mean the shockwave situation. From both sides, there are valid arguments on why shockwaves should or shouldn't be in the loot pool. Some people think they should be outright vaulted, others take the more conservative approach and argue that if shockwaves stay, then Fortnite needs to add more mobility items in rotation to balance them out. And I'm of the opinion that shockwaves should stay in the game, and it might not be for the reasons you think. The biggest complaint, and probably the loudest one, is that shockwaves require no skill, and that's okay. The phrase everyone loves to use is that shockwaves are a get out of jail free card. And again, that's okay, because Fortnite, especially public matches, is no longer a high stakes competitive game mode. And that's part of the conversation that almost nobody wants to acknowledge. Fortnite used to be a game where every fight and rotation mattered, but that version of Fortnite doesn't really exist in pubs anymore. Getting a victory royale isn't as satisfying as it used to be, and ranked, the competitive game mode, rewards camping more than getting the win or eliminations. I mean, Fortnite is way more interested in expanding the creative market rather than making a more balanced and competitive environment, and the clearest example of this are the bots. The bot files require a whole video by itself, but to put it simply, in almost every game over half of the lobby are bots, or at least that's how it feels. Public matches today are slow, casual, chaotic at times, and designed to keep players moving and fighting. Shockwaves fit perfectly into that vision. They don't exist to reward mechanical skill, they exist to keep the game flowing. They let bad players survive longer, they let good players push fights faster, and they reduce downtime and keep matches from turning into a slow build-off in Storm, aka an FNCS lobby endgame. This outrage reminds me of two specific seasons, Chapter 5 Season 3 and Chapter 6 Season 4. Both of which had OP features added into the game. Chapter 5 Season 3 brought the addition of overpowered invincible cars. They regenerated, dealt enormous amount of damage, and quite possibly created the funniest crash out ever.
Stop, man. Damage me. Takes 70 damage, right? He sees his f***ing car EMP'd, and his chest brain tells him to hop in it, jumps up, uppercuts, happens to hit me, I take fall damage, he's slamming down, he hops back in the bus. That's not real!
There were nerfs soon after, but the damage was already dealt. Thousands of people were mad, and rightfully so. I'll even go as far as to say that it's one of the worst seasons I've ever played, because the cars didn't just lower the skill gap, they removed it. If you didn't have a car, you lost. Simple as that. Now, Chapter 6 Season 4 was similar, albeit in a different way. Epic added 3 new medallions that basically made you Superman. You run faster, jump higher, and can dash by crouching. All in all, it was OP. Again, thousands of players were mad, causing it to get nerfed and eventually outright vaulted, which killed the season, at least for me it did. Medallions were unique because they rewarded you for eliminating the player who had them. You had to fight for that power, and if you managed to get all 3 medallions, I genuinely think you should have a noticeable advantage over other players. But even then, they didn't make you invincible. You could still get out-aimed and you could still get outplayed. The medallions enhanced what you were already good at instead of replacing skill altogether. That's why after the nerfs, they felt like a solid addition to the game. They made fights feel more dynamic, they rewarded aggression, and they gave good players more tools without making worse players completely helpless. But as I mentioned earlier, they completely vaulted them from pub matches, making Battle Royale slow and boring. This is where the distinction comes into place. Cars were horrible because they removed skill. Medallions worked because they amplified skill. Shockwaves fall into neither of those categories. They don't raise the skill ceiling, they don't remove skill either. They just lower the skill floor. They make the games more accessible and they keep fights moving. And I do agree that they sometimes save someone who should have died. But at the end of the day, you don't need to eliminate everyone you fight. It's okay to let someone run if that's the smart thing to do. There's been countless times where I fry someone with my AR and I chase them using 6 shockwaves. But after I eliminate that guy, I get third partied and die myself. That wasn't shockwaves being broken. That was just a dumb play by me. This is where I think creators like NickEh30 and honestly a lot of the community get it wrong. They're judging shockwaves through a competitive lens while talking about a casual mode. If this was FNCS, yes, they should be vaulted. And they are. And just to be clear, I'm not saying you can't be competitive in public matches or that you can't get outplayed in pubs. What I'm saying is that the public match experience isn't always designed to favor the better player. And that's okay. Shockwaves are one of the most accessible items Fortnite has ever added. No building knowledge required, no piece control, no insane mechanics, just press a button and move. And that's not a flaw, that's the intentional design. The reality is this, if Fortnite balanced pubs like competitive, most of the player base would quit. Shockwaves aren't meant to be fair, they're meant to be fun. Alright, y'all have heard my scripted thoughts on the Shockwaves, so that's that. Now I want to give my unfiltered thoughts on other people who have been complaining about Shockwaves. And I want to say, it's kind of cringe low-key, dude. It's kind of cringe. Alright, I understand NickEh30 and the other content creators, they've been playing this game for years and having the game devolve from a competitive rewarding experience to people constantly shockwaving all over the place is annoying and somewhat disheartening to say the least. But I'm also talking to the people in the comments who constantly comment Shockwaves ruined the game and that it takes no skill and that the game is dead because of Shockwaves. Or the other point of view, NickEh30 ruined the game. It's interesting that there never was a huge outrage like this on the bot files or matchmaking issues, since both of those issues are way more impactful than Shockwaves. Bots literally make up 80% of the lobby sometimes, and matchmaking can throw you into wildly unbalanced games. I'm saying that you win one game and get sent into Unreal Sweats the next. And I also find the whole divide between casuals and sweats kind of funny, because if you think about it, pros have their own ecosystem, right? They play scrims, focus on rotations, and practice the nitty gritty of Fortnite mechanics, since they're already really good at aim, building, and piece control. On the other side, casuals log into a game a couple times a week to have fun, play creative maps, and maybe drop into Battle Royale here and there, and squad up with some friends. And sweats? They do the same thing, bro. They play creative maps, drop into BR, and squad up with friends. They're just better at the game because they play more. That's basically it, bro. That's the distinction between casuals and sweats. So I don't think there should be a huge divide between them, and that divide, I believe, is the core between the Shockwave 5s. On the sweat side, they can run a 1v4 and come out on top with the help of Shockwaves, while the other side is struggling to aim at someone who is flying around beaming you from the sky. Shockwaves just expose the divide between them. They show who adapts, who improvises, and who actually can be the better player with what items they have. If anything, Shockwaves are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, making matches chaotic and fun. Alright, do you guys agree, disagree, dude? I'm gonna be reading your comments, and yeah, bro, at the end of the day, I think Fortnite is in a state of decline. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on how Fortnite can improve, comment down below. So yeah, dude, I talked about this a little bit last stream, but I was like, you know what, might as well make a whole video on it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.